Hey.
So
Okay.
what page are we on?
Oh God. Okay, so where do we leave off? We
You
left
tell
off
me.
in I will. We left off in Megan's basement. Do you remember why we're there, Ben?
Vaguely.
We just got out of Crackton. And by we,
Right.
we're talking about our main character, Lucy Hamilton here.
Our heroine
Our
in
heroine.
Crackton.
We left off in Megan's basement, and then Lucy started frantically being like, I need to talk to Liam, and what the fuck am I doing with my life? So, Ben, why don't you just read the sentence before the star, just to give us a little bit of context, because it did end on a question mark.
Liam, what's left for us here? No, I'm
But
just kidding.
also, and also, no French accents allowed. And also, who are we?
Well, I'm Ben. That's all.
I'm
Okay.
Sarah. And just so everyone knows, these last 10 pages are the last of In the Clouds. This is all the material that exists. And this is the
Wow.
end. I've ended it. I have written the end.
So am I reading the last sentence we left off on?
Yes,
Not in a French accent. Okay,
but
cool.
not in a French accent.
Gotcha. All right. I think I understand the assignment.
I don't think you did
Liam,
before.
what's left for us here? No, I'm just kidding. No German accents? All right. Liam, what's left for us here? Peter's gone. The friend group split up. Did my parents even put out a missing persons on me? Yes, Lucy. Then I can't stay here. This has to be against some kind of law, I said. Where would you go? You could come with me, I plead. I can't leave here. He sounds fed up. Why? He reaches into his pocket, pulls out his wallet, and opens it. He pulls out a small photograph. This is my daughter. He shows it to me. Liam, what are you talking about? Don't tell me you've been secretly fathering a child. It was an open adoption. Oh yeah, and I thought Liam adopted the child, but
By accident. Anyang.
yeah, Anya. When did this happen? I said, still confused. 2 years ago. It was an accident. I hate saying it like that, but these things happen. Equipment breaks, he said. I honestly didn't know Liam wasn't a virgin at this point. We had never really done anything when we were together. I don't know what to say, I said after a long pause. So you know why I can't leave, he replied. The complicated situation between Liam and I got even more complicated. When we tried to, when I did what I did, I thought she was better off without me anyway. Now I know I need to stay around for her. He starts to cry. I found out the day after I got out of the hospital that she needs a liver transplant, some kind of rare cancer. Now I'm going to be the donor. The doctors can do a procedure where everyone wins, so don't worry. I still don't know what to say. Liam, this is huge. No, it's not. It's just something I have to do for her. Her parents will take care of her, but she's my responsibility. Who's the mother? I asked, wondering the entire time. Does it matter? He said, sniffling and wiping tears, whipping tears, whipping tears left and right. I guess not, I said, disappointed. She doesn't go to our school, he said. She was my neighbor when I first moved after my parents died. We sort of grew up together. Do you still see her? I asked, not knowing if I wanted to know the answer. Not after the adoption. It was too hard, he replied. Did you love her? I said. Yes, I did, he said. Do you still love me? I started crying. Yes, I do, he said. I thought we were going to kiss, but we didn't. We just sat there. Now what? He said. That was the kind of question on my mind as well. Where from here? I don't know, I said. Enjoy the little things in life? You think it's as simple as that? Scoffs Liam. Liam, we should be together. Even after all that? He asked. Yes, I reply. Liam, I don't want to do this alone, I said, scared. We'll face it together, he starts. I guess this means I have to break up with Megan. Is that why I began? Lucy, life isn't that complicated, he giggles. Megan's just a nice girl. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I gave him a nudge and I started happy crying. With all the tears that had been shed since Peter died, those ones actually felt productive for once. Let's get out of here. I bounced. I bounced.
Is this a Lucy Liam road trip or a let's get a coffee, get out of here? Wait, or let's get a coffee, get out of here? He asked with a smile. Our road trips don't have an amazing track record. Start with a coffee, take on the world this afternoon? He asked with puckered lips. I need to see my parents. I hate it, but I do, I said. It's going to be, I don't know, awkward. The thought of seeing my parents filled my head with scenarios. Best case scenario, they missed me, they hugged me, and the joy of having me back erases the trauma of my absentia. I didn't want to think about any of the other scenarios. Regardless of the outcome of each scenario that crossed my mind, one thing was constant. Liam was holding my hand. When Liam and I got to the coffee shop, I froze. Liam, anyone could be in there, I said, pulling on his jacket. I'll go in and get the coffees and bring them out to the car, he quickly strategizes. Thank you for understanding. I didn't smile, but I felt it. When
No.
Liam returned, I had already played the worst case scenario with my parents in my mind about 50 times. They slammed the door in my face. The thought of the possibility made me not want to face them at all. I had to keep telling myself they wouldn't do that. I remembered they put a missing persons report on me. I couldn't determine if that was a good sign or a bad sign. Coffee in a to-go cup doesn't have the same atmosphere, but runaway basement strays can't be choosers. We both got lattes, but the art was destroyed by the condensation that had already accumulated under the lid. Liam peeled off the lid of his coffee cup and licked the foam that was left behind. I looked at him and laughed. Take it.
What? He laughs back at me. I just didn't know that you were that kind of person, is all, I said. Who? The kind of heathen who dares lick the delicious foam that is so beautifully uncontaminated by the coffee, he said. What? I asked, confused. The pure foam of the lid is like the little treat you get before you go down to business with the coffee. Jesus, he needs a room with his coffee. Party on the lid, business in the cup, the mullet latte. I'm really glad we had this conversation. I finally say. When the coffee cups were empty, we headed to our next destination. In the car, mine and Peter's old song played on the radio. I didn't bother mentioning it to Liam. I didn't want to take it as any sort of sign or anything, but it was a reminder of Peter and his absence from the world he once lit so brightly. Y'all ready for this? Liam asked. No, he just says, he just says, you ready for this? Let's just do it. I said, quoting the Nike slogan. Let's just do it, I said, as we sat in the car in my parents' driveway. It felt so weird to be knocking on the door of my own house. It didn't feel like my house anymore. It had only been a couple months since my departure, but in that time, I had learned to call my new life home. I wondered again if there was anything left for me there. Liam was my home, and no physical space could ever hold that place again. Regardless of my future in that house, I had to face the music. My knock was loud enough to be heard, but wasn't my signature knock. My mother opened the door, holding her cell phone to her ear mid-conversation. Her hand became limp, and the phone dropped to the floor. Lucy, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. Greg! She looked behind her and shouted gleefully. Mom, I start. She pulled me in and hugged me, and as my dad appeared behind her in the doorway. Lucy, oh God, he began. I can't believe it. I let go of Liam's hand to hug him as well. Well, come in, come in. Your room is exactly as you left it. Would you like anything to drink? And Liam, oh, so sorry. Liam, hi. My mother said, Jesus, Lois, give the girl some air, said my dad. Lucy, do you want to come in? Yes, please, I said, whipping away happy tears. No, I was just wiping, but I want to whipping. Take it, Ashley.
They made us tea and we talked. I'm sure there's some red tape to clear up, so here I am, I said. Lucy, none of that matters. We're just happy you're home. Your father and I talked about this over and over. We're not punishing you for this, said my mom. Do I have to tell you where I was? I asked, a little ashamed. Only when you're ready, my dad said. Are you staying here tonight? Asked my mom. I looked at Liam. She has a place to stay. You don't need to worry, but it's up to Lucy. Where do you want to be? Liam said to me. I need to see something in my room. Liam, will you come with me? I asked. Of course. The walk up the cushy carpeted stairs somehow sent jolts up my bones. I immediately felt weaker with every step. I opened the door to find everything as I had left it, just like my mother said. I closed the door behind us once we were inside. What's under your bed this time? Liam asked. Nothing like that. Is it exactly how you left it? Just like she said? He asked. Exactly, I said. and it's why I can't stay here. Here, as in, he starts worried. This room, this is where I spent so many days and nights just miserable. I don't know, maybe I've outgrown my childhood room at the ripe age of 18. What did you need to see? He asked. I need to see if I could spend another night in this room. I can't. Is Megan's
Fucking
basement
drama
looking?
queen.
I know. Is Megan's basement looking pretty cozy right now? He tries to break the silence. It would be cozier with you under the covers, with me, I press. But what would Megan's parents think? He asked, but I couldn't tell if he was kidding. Is your aunt on business this weekend by any chance? I press again. Geez,
So
Lucy, go sit on
horny.
an. I know she's so horny. Geez, geez, Lucy, go sit on an ice block. He jokes. Besides, I thought your room made you sad, not aroused. I'm alone in a room with Liam. That's enough for me. She's away on.
Ew.
I know she's so fucked. She's away on business. He smolders.
I woke up in Liam's arms in Liam's room. I had that feeling where for a second when you wake up and you don't know where you are, but even though I knew I was safe and loved, Liam, but even then I knew I was safe and loved. Liam wasn't awake yet, so I made some waking up moaning noises and wriggled free. What the fuck? Waking up moaning noises?
Yeah, you know when you're waking up and it's like
Mm.
just me. Okay.
All right, cool. Where do you think you're going? Liam wakes. I'm going to make you breakfast, I said quietly and kissed him on the forehead. And what does a Lucy breakfast look like these days? He asked. It's me breakfast, lunch, and fucking dinner. Um, he must have been nodding at my vast experience in all-day breakfast diner, in an all-day breakfast diner. The main flavor profile will be maple syrup, but you'll be delighted to see it features on a variety of bread items. I respond. I don't have like any of those ingredients, said Liam. Do you want to go out? I'm just putting it out there that it's not too soon for me to see another diner. I started to gather my clothing that had been scattered on the floor from the previous night. I thought you didn't want to show your face around these parts, questions Liam. Now that my parents know I'm back, I'm pretty much out, I said. Let's not appropriate that word. Fair. Regardless, what does it matter now? They said they'd take care of the missing person report. I shrug. Congratulations, Lucy. You're no longer an outlaw, on the run from the law. His eyes widened. How did you do it anyway? Wait, never mind. Don't answer that if you don't want to. Now what? How I did what? No, what? How did I do what? I mean, when you fainted, if I hadn't answered the call, we might not have found you. How did you stay off grid? I was on a cash diet, Liam. Peter's ring. He shirks. Yeah, I sigh. Take it.
I had thought about Peter's ring many times since leaving my new life. It was becoming a great shame of mine. Liam, wait. Would it change your mind if I
Change your
told
mind
you I
if
was
I said you was an orthodontist.
or the worst? Liam, wait. Fear came over me. I don't want to go out for breakfast. Suddenly, there was only one thing on my mind. I needed to return Peter's ring to his family. Lucy, what is it? He puts his hand on mine. I have an idea for a road trip. Good one or bad one, he asks. It's lukewarm, I respond. Shoot. I know it's shoot. I need to buy Peter's ring back. I start. I can't stand the thought of running into Mr. and Mrs. Adams at the diner or whatever and feeling that guilt. Walking up to them literally empty handed. Lucy, it might not be there. I have to try. Bringing the ring back won't bring Peter back, Liam stated. I know. It's just something I have to do. I can't be in this town with this on my conscience. It's the last loose end to tie, Liam. Liam started to get dressed. I started to smile. There's one stop on the way, Lucy. You take it.
We got in Liam's car once more. We hadn't been on the highway very long when we took an exit. Liam, I know where we're going.
I know, so
Just
descriptive.
wait.
We took an exit.
We hadn't been on the highway long, but we took an exit. Liam, I know where we're going. Just wait, Lucy. We pulled up to Liam's parents' house. Or what you say. I read this like he's a fucking psychopath. Like, just wait, Lucy. It's like you're gonna
Just
die.
you wait.
We pulled up to Liam's parents' house, or what used to be. It was the lot, but now it was a construction zone. We got out and stood in front of a nearly built house. They've left everything to me, you know. Well, what they had anyway. You're rebuilding it? I asked. No, Lucy, it's something new. I helped draw up the plans and I've been learning to build. It's time to move on. I was in complete disbelief. Do you want to see inside? Of course. Liam gave me the tour. We finally got to the main bedroom. I thought this could be our room.
Why did you put a question mark at the end?
I don't know.
Oh. Anyway, that was supposed to be cute. I hope you liked it.
I liked it.
We got back in the car. Are you happy, Lucy? I will be, I said, once we get the ring back. You know,
My precious.
we're infringing on some serious copyright with this whole ring quest.
Oh, there it is.
I'm willing to take the chance. I laugh. I thought about what Liam had just shown me. Liam, we can start over at your parents' house, our house. I thought about what this new house meant for me. It seemed like the perfect middle ground between old and new life. But I wondered about Liam. What about school? What about your daughter? He kept looking ahead at the road and started smiling. That's the beauty. I have a car and we're just the next town over. We can make it our own. How is this so perfect? It's so perfect, Liam.
By the time we got to the pawn shop, it was evening. Cool. So, how much did you get for the ring? He asked as we sat in the car. I'd rather not say. Okay. And how much of that did you spend? He asked. I'd rather not say. I started. Look, I'll have the most of it. Look, I still have most of it, and I'm willing to haggle. I think they need to be willing to haggle, he said. Whatever, I'm going in. I accidentally slammed the car door behind me out of nervousness. I looked back at Liam with clenched teeth and high shoulders. The bell on the door rang as I entered the shop, announcing my presence. No one was behind the counter for the first few moments. Everything seemed to be behind a glass case. Everything seemed to be behind a glass case.
But I wasn't so certain.
It was like I could see my reflection everywhere I looked. I was a different person when I first sold the ring. Don't touch anything, a voice said. I looked to my left to see a surly looking older woman wearing tights, a scarf, and an oversized t-shirt. Was it Ariana Grande? She was pointing to a sign that said, Don't touch anything. Okay, thank you, as if I wasn't nervous enough. What are you looking for or something? She asked. I moved closer.
It's like I think she goes, "What are you looking for something?"
What are you looking for something? She asked.
But you went like, "What are you looking for something?"
What are you looking for something? I moved closer to the counter so that I didn't have to raise my voice. I looked down and there it was, sitting in a slightly fancier ring box with a price tag that was double what I sold it for. No, I'll be back. I turned around immediately and briskly walked out the door. I couldn't haggle down from that high, and I was sure they didn't accept sob stories. I got back in the car. It's
It's
hopeless.
hopeless, I said. I'm sorry, Lucy. So what? Are we letting this go? Asked Liam. No, not yet. I said as a younger girl emerged from the back room and stood where the older lady had been. The younger girl and the older lady. I exploded out of the car. I marched up to the counter and made my offer. Listen, we're never going to sell that ring at that price, she said quietly. We're trialing it as our prized possession of the shop. You know, the thing that's never going to sell, but makes us look a little bit upscale. That's my theory anyway. I looked at her intently. I didn't say anything. I just waited to hear what I wanted to hear. But that's low. That's less than what we bought it for, she shrugged. The bell on the door rang. I looked behind me out of instinct. It was Liam. Liam, don't. I start. I'd have to ask for another 3,000 to make it worth my while, the employee said. Liam took out his wallet. Don't do this, I said. I owe this to Peter, Lucy. He asked me to take care of this ring, and now it's sitting in a pawn shop. I should have given it to Peter's mother a long time ago. Because you can't be fucking trusted with it, you piece of shit. We paid our debt to the pawn shop and went on our way. Next stop, said Liam, as we were already driving, the Adams's house. I start. Liam, I'm going.
Da-na-na-na, da-da.
Liam, I'm going to pay you back. Don't worry, Lucy. I mean it. You take it.
I fell asleep in Liam's car, clutching Peter's ring. By the time got to the Adams family, no, I'm just kidding, the Adams, it was early in the morning. Do you want me to come with you? Asked Liam. I need to do this one on my own, I respond. I listened to the doorbell and tapped my feet. The housekeeper answered, Rich. Oh, yeah, he is rich. I'm here to see Mr. and Mrs. Adams, I said. She didn't say anything, merely gestured me inside the house. She led me to the couch in the immaculate living room and rolled over a cart that had teas and coffee. Oh, fuck me. No, thank you. I'm fine, I said. Lucy, Mrs. Adams said. Is everything all right, honey? What are you doing here? I stood up before she could sit down. I need to return something. I took out the ring box of my jacket pocket and handed it to her. Oh, Lucy. Yeah, I stated. I'm so sorry, she said. No, I am. This was all I needed to say. She didn't need to know I wouldn't have married her son. She didn't need to know that the ring sat in the pawn shop for months. The pain of losing a child is enough.
Can I read this
Don't take
part and
me.
then you read the next
Go
part?
for it. Go for
Okay,
it.
sorry. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got the right part. The five of us sat in a waiting room hoping for the good news. Give me the good news. It's a standard procedure, Lucy. No stress, said Devin. Ooh, Devin's back. The room was full of impatient people, people with balloons, people with teddy bears. It's surgery. It's the definition of stress, I said and started pacing around. Lucy, try to sit down. This isn't helping, said Samantha. She handed me a paper cup half full of lukewarm water as I sat. No, this
She
isn't
handed me a
helping.
paper cup half full of urine. That's just,
At least it was
I don't
half
know.
full of lukewarm water and not half empty. Like, at least it was, you know,
Yeah, we're really looking on the positive side here.
we really are. No, this isn't helping, I said and handed it back to her. Lucy, I'm sure everything will be fine, said Megan. When do things ever go my way? I said. Holden, the doctor announced. We had been paying close attention to the patient announcements, but had gotten lost in conversation. We turned our heads towards her and stood. Well, you'll be happy to know the surgery was a success, she began, for both parties. A sigh of relief broke the tension amongst the group. I'm sure you want to see him, the doctor stated. Liam in the hospital wasn't something I wanted to see. No. The first time I saw Liam in the hospital, I almost lost him. It took me ending up in the hospital to find him again, and it took some perspective to get us back together. You read the next
But
part.
my only question is, was the surgery emotionally fulfilling for both parties?
I don't know.
Okay. I regained consciousness, but hadn't opened my eyes yet. I could feel the sun shine on my face, shining in through the window. All I could hear was the birds and my heart monitor. I've been here before, but it's different. It was from Liam's perspective. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, plot twist. This time around, I wasn't fighting for my life. I was fighting for someone else's. I felt weak like I had before, but not hopeless. Liam, she said softly. I could recognize Lucy's voice anywhere, even as I regained consciousness. I opened my eyes to see Samantha.
I'd recognize that voice anywhere. Oh, fucking Samantha.
I opened my eyes to see Samantha, Devin, Jim, Megan, and Lucy as they stood in front of my hospital bed, with Lucy just beside me. The gang's all here, I said. Not everyone, said Jim. A silence fell upon the room. The beeping of the heart monitor was the only sound that remained, reminding me that I'm alive while Peter is not. Peter's absence still weighed on each of us. Thank you for making the trip, guys, but can I be alone with Lucy? I asked. They trickled out of the room after saying goodbye to me. Liam, you should just rest, she said. They told you her surgery was successful as well, right? I asked. My daughter was in the hospital too. I like how we called her my daughter. Like, anyway, was in the hospital too, in recovery, just like me. Yes, they did. Do you want to see her? She asks. No, that's the end of it, I said. I noticed Lucy looked worried. What's wrong, Lucy? I asked as I put my hand on her shoulder. She was now sitting on the edge of my bed. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Are you sure you're okay being with me? She starts to cry. Lucy, I start. Are you okay being with me? Even less. Yes, she said. I don't want to control you, Lucy. I'll never stand in the way of what you do, and neither should Peter, dead or alive. I kissed her. That's ominous. In a few days, I was discharged from the hospital. In a few days, after a few days, I was discharged from the hospital. A few days after that, I asked Lucy to marry me on one knee on our front porch. A few seconds after that, she said, yes. No, I'm just kidding. She said yes.
Okay, I'll read the last part.
All right.
After yes. It's the first time we get a chapter title in the
Wow.
entire book. Did they live happily after? Yeah. Well, we're off to a great start. Did they live happily ever after? Technically speaking, there were many hard years, more funerals, tears, and miserable nights. To make up for all that, there were weddings and babies, hot coffees, good conversation, lifelong friends, and therapy. I could tell you about a house where love seemed like it could conquer all, and children grew into adults who cared for their aging parents, and people who lived how we all wish to live. I could tell you their stories too. This was not my story, merely a picture in time. The stories about which we make movies aren't really who we are, they're snapshots. We are more than our dreadful or happy moments. We are birth to death, and when it all ends, sooner or later, we will all meet in the clouds.
Wow. I think that's the best written part of the whole, oh my God, of the whole like book. That little concluding bit.
Did you like the concluding bit?
I like the concluding bit. I thought it was very profound.
Hmm. Okay, so what did we think? What happened in this episode?
Well, I mean, so much happened. We found out that Liam's surgery was successful.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, sorry.
Cat behind you. I was like, what the fuck? But
Can
it's just
you
the
stop
shadow.
saying that there's things behind me?
It's just the shadow of your pillow made a cat face.
Okay, so in this episode, let's just name some things that happened. So Liam came over to Megan's house. They went on a coffee road trip. Liam had put his dick in a coffee cup.
What? Liam put his dick in a coffee cup?
He might as well have. So Liam revealed that he has a daughter who is in an
True
open
that.
adoption.
And he was the one who gave it up. He didn't adopt her.
Correct. You did not accidentally adopt
Accidentally
anyone.
adopt a child? No.
And then Lucy is overcome with this fear and mission to return the ring
Oh yeah,
to
that was a whole
Mordor.
thing. Well, you wrote something about like finding middle ground, and I just wanted to be like finding Middle Earth.
Okay, and then they went on another road trip. Whoops.
We're getting silly.
That's what
Oh,
started
man.
this whole thing, me making that noise. Whoop. So they go to a pawn shop, and a surly looking woman, scares Lucy. And then when a younger looking woman shows up, Lucy feels confident that she can sell the ring or buy the
She's like,
ring.
oh yeah, this bitch is an easy mark.
And then Liam's successful surgery. And then we get a little snapshot of Liam's perspective.
Yeah, and Liam, it's funny, like it really took a turn when it was from Liam's perspective. Like the whole feeling of the story like changed, you know?
Really? Like,
Like,
in what way? What do you
yeah,
think?
I don't know, like the story just felt like so like
Like a
dramatic and
weight, like a
depressing
weight
when
was
it,
lifted when
yeah,
it
like
turned to
a
Liam.
weight was lifted off when we didn't have to hear Lucy's thoughts anymore.
Yeah.
It really did feel like a turn in the story. So
So
how do
what
you
did you
feel?
think?
I want to ask you, how do you feel having written this novella.
Well, it's pretty crazy. Okay, like I don't think it ever would, like if I had finished it 10 years ago, I don't think it ever would have gone this direction.
Mm. Where do you think it would have landed had you written it 10 years ago? Death and depression?
I think it might have been a lot longer.
Mm.
Like I think I would have had like more ideas of the same vein like from 10
Mm.
years ago. Like writing it 10 years later, I kind of had to be like, okay, like where is this story really going? Like how can we really end it and tie some ends and kind of
Mm.
wrap it up? Whereas if I
Mm-hmm.
had written it 10 years ago, it probably would have been more like it would have been more hilarious because there would have been more like just ridiculous things and things that drag on and like Peter's death. Oh, pages and pages of oh, I'm so sad about Peter's death, but I love him, but I don't. But it feels good to like have completed it.
That's awesome. I love that for you.
Is it gay that I ended it with the title?
No, I love that. I thought it was very it nicely wrapped things up.
You know,
It's a bit cliche. It's a bit cliche, but
we never got our ethnic character, but I'm gonna
yeah,
pull a JK
whereas
Rowling.
and make Hermione black
I'm gonna pull a JK Rowling and make Dumbledore gay outside
and
of the
Hermione
books,
black.
like in reality that doesn't exist within reality.
Okay.
And I'm going to say Megan's last name was Rodriguez.
Megan Rodriguez. Cool.
I've always kind of envisioned her as Megan Rodriguez. Blech, Megan Rodriguez. That's really hard to say.
Megan Rodriguez. Just getting that Latinx representation. I love it.
Yeah. I can't believe it's over. And you know what? Like, what do you think about Lucy and Liam getting married?
Do you think Devin and Jim are secretly gay?
Yeah. What do you think about the friend group getting back together? What do you think about Lucy and Liam getting married and living in a house in the next town over?
Um, I thought he was gonna get adopted by a rich man. um, I don't know. I thought it was a nice way to end it. I mean, after all that tragedy, it was nice to have some, you know, some normalcy in their lives.
Yeah. And that's what like the whole kind of thing was about the end. The whole little paragraph at the end is kind of about like this isn't Lucy's entire life. Like her whole entire life isn't this book. This is just a year and a half of her life.
Where are we going to leave our listeners? What are our final thoughts to the listener?
Well, I don't know. This episode wasn't very funny. Like, was it not like?
I thought it was pretty funny. Like going back, there was some lol shit.
Will I ever pick up the pen again
No,
after this horrific experience?
just kidding. I'm teasing. You should absolutely keep writing. Always be writing.
It's the ABWs that we're all so familiar with. What's a great way to end it?
Well, I think a perfect way to end this would be I'll see you
I'll
in the
see you in the
place.
place.
I'll see you in the place.